players mesh in with Boogie brings to the table on the floor?
Well, it's still all about those two and how happy or unhappy they're going to be. They both expressed the desire to leave or to explore a trade. For contractual reasons, it's been difficult to find a home for them. You bring in Cousins. Look, if he can be healthy and hold up, Brendan, I think it's a pretty good fit because he's going to get a lot of touches and a lot of chance to do what he can do, score the ball. As they try to transition away from the complete commitment to small ball, super small ball that they had in Houston, they're going to try to play maybe a little more traditionally. They bring in Wood from Detroit. They bring in Cousins, who's got a lot more experience and, if healthy, a lot more in his arsenal offensively. It could be a help, but I don't know if they can hold it together in Houston or how crabby these two all-stars are going to be looking to get out of there.
Christian Wood signed that 3-year deal for $41 million. Going to the Eastern Conference, the Wizards, they have assets or bait that is coveted by other teams. Now, Wizards GM Tommy Shepard told them, hold on, player, when it comes to fishing for his all-star backcourt.
There's no plans to trade John. Obviously, that's unfortunate this time of year. I think the bait and tackle shop's wide open for business. There's a lot of people that get excited on the internet or whatnot. But I was with John this morning. I watched him work out. He had another fantastic workout. Talked to all of our players. I talked to Bradley today. He's excited about getting back here, getting ready to get to training camp. I think the story, it's a new story now with John and Bradley versus it's not a sequel.
Some might look at this as gamesmanship. Some might look at it as the real deal. Tom, coming to you, buy or selling what GM Shepard is saying about his backcourt?
Well, there's no plan to trade John Wall because there's nobody that'll take John Wall. $132 million left on his deal, $44 million a year guaranteed. And we know he hasn't played for coming up on 3 years. And when he played before that, it wasn't much. So there's just a slew of money left at that age with that injury history. And that PO at the end means player option. So it's going to be there. It's a ton of dough. And we just simply haven't seen this player that we're seeing in the highlights on the floor in such a long time. I hope he can come back. I hope that backcourt is reinvented in a way that Tommy Shepard was selling today, where he says Wall's shooting the ball better. We know how Beal's evolving. They would each be better with each other, but that hasn't happened in now years. So we just wish him well, hope he comes back. But trust me, Tommy Shepard would trade him in a second if somebody would take it.
We've seen contracts in the past. Hey, B. Wood, you already know. Go ahead.
Man, Tom. Man, my man Tom Penn just giving you the real deal. Hey, he giving it to you straight with no chaser out here. I'm not sure whether Tommy would trade him or not. But I will say this. I think that he does believe that John Wall will be back next year. He does believe that this backcourt will have a big say in how the Wizards will be playing. I think the Wizards are going to be an exciting team. From what I've heard, John Wall looks good. He is shooting the ball better in his workouts. He looks like he's in good shape, too. And that's the biggest thing. Coming off these multiple injuries, how good of shape can you be in coming into a camp that's going to probably be abbreviated and rushed into an NBA COVID-type season?
What we've seen in the past, these impossible contracts to move. You think of Chris Paul, you think of...
Discussed a potential trade for a Wall for Russell Westbrook with the Rockets, but here's more of what Shepard had to say today.
There's no plans to trade John. Obviously, that's unfortunate this time of year. I think the bait and tackle shop's wide open for business. There's a lot of people that get excited on the internet or whatnot, but there's no issues with John and I. There's no issues with John and the Wizards. There's no issue with anybody other than we just want to go out and get between the lines where life makes a little bit more sense right now than it does. So we're getting ready for whatever is ahead of us.
Now, Wall still has 3 years remaining on that lucrative 4-year contract extension he signed back in 2017. But the #1 overall pick in the 2010 NBA draft missed most of the last 2 seasons after rupturing his Achilles back in 2019. We are now joined by NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski. Woj, what should this mean moving forward for John Wall and Bradley Beal, who are both set to be reunited on the court for the first time in 2 years?
Yes, and I think that's more the question for the Washington Wizards. Not so much what John Wall wants, but what does Bradley Beal want? Because in Wall's absence, Beal has become the unquestioned franchise player for them, and they're building this organization around him, and they want to keep him long term. And I think both Bradley Beal and Tommy Shepard have really liked what they've seen with John Wall in his rehab. They've seen him. They feel like he's improved his three-point shot. Tommy Shepard says he's seen the explosion back with John Wall. He's been out of the league for a very long time. I think they want to see what they look like together back on the court and go from there.
Okay, well, how about another duo now to the West? How are the Rockets planning on moving forward with James Harden and Russell Westbrook at this point?
Well, they have not engaged on James Harden in trade talk, but Russell Westbrook they have. That's not an easy trade to make, and I think for the Rockets, getting back into training camp and starting the season is probably a more likely scenario than Westbrook even moving. They're going to bring DeMarcus Cousins into training camp, our Tim McMahon reported, see if they can resurrect his career. He has faced several significant injuries in the last couple of years, and he'll get another opportunity to make that Rockets roster.
All right, well, it was a crazy weekend in free agency, but now I want to know what potential significant moves could still be looming this week with NBA training camps opening in just over a week.
Well, Tuesday is an interesting day to watch. Bogdan Bogdanović's offer sheet with the Atlanta Hawks. The Kings have to make a decision. Are they going to match the offer sheet for the restricted free agent and keep him? Or that 4-year, $72 million deal, do they let him go to Atlanta? And so they've got about another 24 hours before they have to tell the league and tell Atlanta what they're going to do. So they're making that decision. And I think you're going to see some more extensions. There's a lot of extension-eligible players. Brandon Ingram in New Orleans, OG Anunoby in Toronto, Bam Adebayo in Miami. You'll start to see those. And, of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo has until December 21 to decide on that 5-year Supermax contract.
Very interesting. I can't believe we're talking training camp already. It feels like the season just ended. But, Woj, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ed.
NBA Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz agreed to a 5-year max extension worth to up $195 million. Wrap your brain around that one. He's coming off a postseason where he averaged over 36 per. Jason Tatum also 5-year max with Boston, also worth up to $195 million. First-time All-Star in 2020, and the Lakers agreed to a deal with Marc Gasol, the defending champs, really reworking that front court. They also traded JaVale McGee to the Cavs to clear up some space for the Gasol signing. Nice and busy times right here in the middle of football season for NBA insider Brian Windhorst. So can we start with Giannis, our 2-time reigning NBA MVP, because he enters the final season of his contract, as we all know, but he could sign the Supermax, 5 years, $228 million to remain with the Bucks. What sort of ripple effect could that have, Wendy, on the rest of the league going forward?
Well, Hannah, it's really everything. To be honest with you, we just had the craziest week of NBA transactions in league history, but nothing is more important than waiting on this Giannis extension. If he extends, the Bucks are the gigantic winners of this offseason. If he does not extend, we're going to see a mad rush and dash to prepare for his possible free agency next summer. And if you look at moves that teams have made across the league, whether it's the Miami Heat signing 4 players to 1-year contracts, whether it's the Toronto Raptors tailoring the contracts of their players so that they have more room next year, or the Dallas Mavericks making trades to clear off guaranteed money, those teams believe there's a chance that Giannis may not sign it. And so the whole league, one way or another, is sitting on the edge of their seats waiting for that decision.
Okay, so let's really play this thing forward now. Let's talk about Anthony Davis, because the whole world expects him to return to the Lakers. So how potentially could what Giannis is doing or ends up doing impact the type of contract that AD ends up getting?
Yeah, it's unusual for AD to delay his re-signing for this long. And one of the things he could be watching is what Giannis does. If Giannis elects to sign the extension, then we could see AD